Off and running we are. How you doing, Danny, my brother? How's everything?
I'm good, man. I'm chilling, man. Welcome to BeFit Radio. What's up, JC?
Man, everything's okay. Do your introduction.
Yes, before anything, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's BeFit Radio, one word. Look us up on Facebook. That's BeFit Radio, one word. And Twitter, you guessed it. It's one word, BeFit Radio. Instagram's a little bit different. It's BeFit Radio _.
And of course, have a be so kind and go to our website, www.befitradio.com. We'll make it easy and simple there. You can download our podcast. You can watch our videos. You can listen to our music. You can read our articles, our blogs, and have the whole experience in just one place.
Yep, the whole nine, if you know what I mean.
The whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So what's up, Danny? What are we talking about today?
Well, there was a couple of things on my mind that I wanted to talk to you about specifically.
Yeah.
In regards to my fitness and a little bit of my history and how I got into this obsession of being a better person, at least making myself better. The approach that I like to take is the ancestral approach when it comes to my fitness. What I mean by that is I have an obsession with improvement with my body, and taking the ancestral approach, I just want to be a complete human being. I don't want to be, I don't want to have the capacity of an iPhone 6 or a Samsung Note S5, whatever it's called, and only use it for a calculator.
Absolutely.
That's what most people do. When they work their 9-to-5 jobs, they're not meant to be sitting at a desk for 7 or 8 hours upon a single time. It's they have the capability of doing so much more.
The decay of the human being, huh? Is that what you're attributing it to?
Yeah, I mean that's what this urban environment, urban settings. That's what that's kind of a new thing that's in society. Is that human beings are decaying. We're capable of doing so much physically, mentally, and yet we pigeonhole ourselves,
right?
And sit at a desk for about 9 hours without any squatting or any kind of pressing movement, and then our muscles just turn into mush.
And that's the norm, which is the scary part. That's normal to us. That's what we're supposed to be doing according to our society today.
Right.
And that's where you and I agree, and I agree with you 100% because studies keep on coming up showing that if you live a sedentary lifestyle, but what is sedentary? Well, sitting down for 9 hours straight is sedentary.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
if you go to the gym for 1 hour, you're not making up for those 9 hours that you've been sitting down. So it is a huge concern. And I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all. Not at all. So I got a first taste, a first glimpse of this obsession when I first started playing baseball at Little League, and I noticed the progression of getting better. And I fell in love with that ever since. And, my experience with military school, becoming a better runner over there, because we'd have to run about 3 miles a day on a consistent basis.
Yeah, that's
crazy. I really appreciate what my parents were doing at the time, and in promoting these sports, because I was able to develop my legs properly. I was able to develop my hips, my feet, everything develop properly. Because a lot of kids nowadays, we'll touch upon it a little bit later in the podcast, but a lot of kids nowadays, they're turning up in hospitals and in doctors' offices with ACL injuries and knee injuries, hip injuries, and these kids are only about 8 years old, which shouldn't be happening.
It's a very important topic, and it touches close to home, and I always say that. But it's true because there are the two sides of the coin. There are your parents helping you out, promoting sports and supporting you in that sense, which you had big interest in. Yeah. And I was the opposite side of the story, where I had a huge interest in sports and athletics, and they were suppressed by my parents. They weren't supportive at all in my interests. But I still, when you have an interest and you have a passion for something, you're still going to find a way to do it.
Right. But
what happens? What happened? The story goes like this. I get injured at 12 years old back then, which was 15 years ago or 14 years ago, an ACL injury is a huge deal for a 12-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
And on the other end, there you are, strengthening, conditioning, repetitions, getting the form right. Have you had any ACL injuries? Have you had any elbow injuries? Have you had any shoulder injuries? You know, it's that important from that stage of life. And I just wanted to point that out. You know, it's not a terminal injury either, but at the same time, it does hold you back. An ACL, a tore ligament, bad meniscus, knee arthritis, and all that stuff that happens because you're not focusing on the development of your mechanics since you're very young, which is very important.
Yeah, I've never had an injury to this day where I've required surgery or anything torn. I've had a couple of sprained ankles here and there, but you know, everyone gets that. That's just normal wear and tear. But I've never. I've been running most of my life, and up until recently, I'm starting to realize that long distance running probably isn't the best thing for your joints or for your heart. But
it abuses it abuses your joints. But
I'm really grateful that since a young age I was able to develop my hips and my ankles at a good pace from when I was young, because now that carries over into my obsession with fitness now, and it laid down a really good foundation for me to build off of.
Huge, and the results are great, and what you're doing, it shows. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a lifetime of work, and that's something that we have to pay attention to. And getting started, you were my point of reference. You know,
Thanks.
It's from the ground up.
Right.
It's not from the antenna down. You know, you don't build the skyscrapers with the antenna first. You build a foundation.
Right.
And it was very important. But continue on the obsession with.
So some people, you know, when I talk to them about fitness, they may get turned off a little bit because they don't have that foundation that I had growing up. And I'm starting to realize that now, that because I had that foundation, now I'm able to have good form when I deadlift, good form when I squat, and good form when I chest press with very little injury. I mean, I'm really grateful to have had that foundation in running so much, because I was able to develop my ankles properly, my hips, you know, the swaying motion of my shoulders.
Right.
Because when I talk to people at the gym now, my local gym here in Kew Gardens, I constantly hear people talk about shoulder pain when they're chest pressing, knee problems when they're squatting, you know, pain in their hips, pain in their ankles. And I say to myself, you know, well, I really don't feel that. You know, I've never really felt that. Never really felt pain. I mean, I've felt soreness, but that's a whole nother ballgame.
Boom, you're a genetic god.
No, I mean, at first, you know, I thought, you know, I was arrogant enough to think that, yeah, you know, maybe I am a supreme being, you know, as Mark would say.
Shout out to Mark.
But no, what I realized was that I haven't stopped running since I was about 5 years old. I never really lived a sedentary lifestyle like these kids nowadays do. So I'm really grateful that I was able to run around, that I had parks available when I was growing up. When I had Little League, I had military school, I had baseball in high school, and I've been constantly running, and that laid the foundation for me, you know, to prevent injuries ultimately. Right.
And when you talk about the people that have these debilitating injuries all the time, nagging injuries, and those are the type of things that will turn you off and away from continuing the endeavor of being fitter or being more healthy or getting stronger, because if you have knee pain and you can't squat, eventually you're just going to stop squatting,
right? Because
you're not going to have the motivation to work through it, and that approach is to me, I think it's important to understand that if you have, like for me, sometimes I have knee pain, so I have to look back, stand back, take the weight off my back when I'm squatting, and think, why is my knee hurting? Is my knee hurting because I'm not doing this properly? Is my knee hurting because my form is completely wrong? Let's reevaluate why this is happening. And it takes that little second of your attention to prevent it and to continue to be able to move forward with it. But it's more important to start from the ground up, and that's why I'm fucking talking all this shit.
Nah, not at all. I mean, I remember in junior high school when you first got your surgery on your knee, You missed a couple of days in school, and
more like months,
or maybe it was months. I forgot. It was a long time ago. This was like over 12.
It was in junior high school, though, right?
Yeah, it was in junior high school.
It was in elementary school.
I think it was seventh grade. I think the beginning of seventh grade.
What happened was I got injured the first time when I was 12.
Okay.
I had the surgery. I was out for 6 months. An ACL surgery, an ACL reconstructive surgery back in 19 whatever. It was a big deal for me, and I was out for 6 months, rehabbing and all that. And then I came back the 7th month to school, and I was okay for a few months. I was playing soccer in the mornings. And then it was in junior high school where it happened again, and I was out for a few weeks because doctors were telling me that I needed to do a complete knee reconstruction.
Damn.
But because of the recovery was so cruel and grueling for me, I told my mom, like, listen, I'd rather not. At that moment I said I'd rather never play soccer again, and I don't want to go through this. And she just let me make that decision when I was 12 years old, 13 years old. But I don't know if it was the right decision or the wrong decision, but the bottom line is I have no stability in my right knee, and ever since, because I didn't get the surgery that I was supposed to get, quote unquote. Now, is that a positive thing? Is that a negative thing? I mean, my knee has buckled maybe like 10 times since, and then it's painful and it sucks and it puts me out of commission for a few weeks. But at the same time, I'm still lifting, doing heavy squats, doing lots of running, doing lots of handball. So, is it a positive? Is it a negative?
I think it's a positive, and I think it's great that you brought that up, because what a lot of people tend not to do is listen to their bodies. I mean, we have signals and we have red flags that our body gives us to say, hey, stop doing what you're doing. And that's what you did. I mean, it's not normal. Surgery is not a normal thing for the body.
No.
People, it's kind of desensitized now in modern society. You get a surgery for this, you get a surgery for that.
A surgery for everything.
But it's a huge shock to the body. So, of course, understandably, you were very scared about, a second surgery or reconstructive knee surgery. I mean, that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, in the way the doctor put it then, he wasn't very... His bedside manner wasn't the best, to say the least. He said he's going to open my knee from my ankle all the way to my thigh. Like something like that. Something like that. He said something like that, and I was like, get the fuck out of here with that shit, Mom. I don't want this shit. But listen, what I'm trying to say is maybe that wasn't the right decision at the time, because I still have a unstable knee, right? Like if you slide tackle me, my knee's going to pop out. If I land wrong while we're playing handball, my knee's going to pop out. Like it happened 2 years ago when I was playing my good friend Matthew Mulberry. Thank you for that. And, you were there to 3 weeks.
I heard the yell.
Hey, we have it documented. It's crazy. We have it documented. But it just... The point I want to make is that even though I have this debilitating and injury throughout my entire adult life and my teenage years, I still managed to do what I wanted to do, which was play handball and be active and run and play handball and lift weights, and I push it every day more and more and more. But by listening and by strengthening and by being aware that I do have, I don't want to say discapacity. Is that even a word?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, I get people know what you're talking about.
Yeah, or a disability.
Right.
I don't think it's a disability.
Debilitating?
Yeah, well, I mean...
Where's the thesaurus? We need a thesaurus.
Thesaurus, where are you? Whatever. What I'm saying, though, is, I understand I have a problem in my knee. I understand there's a mechanical malfunction in there. But some people would say, oh, you know what? I'm never going to run again. Or I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to do that again. I put myself to the test. I hurt myself a lot. Maybe I'm going to have arthritis in the future. Maybe I have arthritis now. But I've always had that motivation to push the envelope and do what I want. Because if I don't go for it, then what's the point? Right. Regardless of my circumstances. And this is nothing. This is just an ACL injury. I go online or I watch the special, the Special Olympics is what they're called. And these guys have real injuries and real, missing limbs, and they're doing amazing things. So where does that motivation come from? And that's one topic we wanted to discuss, or I want to talk to you about today, Danny.
Sure, well, we get into the motivation, but I just wanted to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
Just with your story, because I think there's two positives there with your story. First, you identified what the problem was. You identified what the issue was. and you somewhat, I guess, addressed it. But aside from that, it didn't hinder you from further playing sports because, as people know, JC is an avid handball player. I mean, these past 2 weeks, you must have played
every day.
Yeah, I mean, out of the 14 days, you probably played 13 out of those 14 days, and maybe, I'm guessing, maybe like 5 hours a day.
Yeah, at least 4 or 5 singles.
And these are intense games. I mean, we play at a level that's pretty intense. It's grueling, but it's fun ultimately. So those are the two positive things that I took from the story, was that you addressed the issue, you didn't shy away from it, and what you slowly did was rebuild the muscles, I guess, and the tendons around your knee to help stabilize it.
Right.
Because, I mean, we play at a high intensity. I mean, whenever I play Juan, or JC for that matter, I don't play him soft at all. I mean, I'm trying to shove the ball down his throat every single time.
He plays me hard.
I try to ace him, every serve. I'm trying to just get him every game. And, he wins some games, and ultimately he keeps up, and which to me is pretty remarkable with the history of your knee, because I think a lot of people will let fear get into their heads, and they would just shy away from playing.
Right. And you say that, and I'm going to say this from the bottom of my heart. Although I do know I have a mechanical malfunction in my knee, I never go out there thinking I have a disability or I'm incapacitated. I never go out there thinking that, and I don't play like I am, and I don't walk around like I am. I go out there and I give it my all. Whatever happens, happens. But it's not like I'm doing it blindly either.
Right.
I'm strengthening my legs. My legs are my strongest point. My footwork has gotten, because my footwork is so important for you need to be stable. Little by little, my footwork's gotten so much better, and you've seen it on the handball courts.
Oh, yeah.
Handball's a game of footwork, but never in my head do I go out there saying, I'm just gonna go fuck around because I have a bad knee. Fuck that. I'm gonna go and I want to beat Daniel. I want to beat Joseph. I want to beat BJ. I want to beat them all. And the Brazilian kid, I'm gonna beat him. And that's how I go out thinking. And that's the fire burning inside of me.
And that's where motivation that leads us, that segues us into the next topic, which is motivation. And JC's obsession with improvement is what has kept him on the handball court healthy, relatively healthy. I mean, you've never had an injury. We've been playing straight for about 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
The entire, I don't want to say the entire year, but I'd say,
well, for sure the summers. We've never missed the summer,
hands down.
Never
but I'd say 8 to 9 months out of the year for the past 8 to 7 years, we've been playing consistently, whether it's indoor, outdoor, wherever,
all over New York City.
And the injury to your knee that you've had for a while hasn't hindered that at all. Hasn't slowed you down. It's actually accelerated, your gameplay, which is which to me is something to marvel at. I
appreciate that, brother.
I sincerely say that because I haven't really, like I said before, I haven't really experienced an injury ever in my life. I've never torn anything. I've pulled my lower back, but that was minor. That was just a small inconvenience compared to having a torn ACL or something of that matter.
Yeah. And go ahead.
What I was going to say was that it's motivation that has kept us playing for so long and consistently.
Right.
I mean, we're not A players, but the goal is not to be to be one of the top contenders. I mean, that's another story, and politics involved with that as well. We play each other because we love the game more than anything.
And brings it to a very technical. I want to get a little technical with it here, Danny, because what you bring up is it puts me nicely there. There's 2 types of motivation. There's intrinsic motivation and there's extrinsic or outer motivation. So what I mean by that is we're motivated to play handball because we love the game.
Right.
You and I enjoy it. Our group of friends enjoy it. We're very competitive. We do it for the love of the game. We want to get better shots. Same thing with weightlifting. We enjoy lifting weights. We enjoy mechanics. We enjoy all these things. And our motivation comes from the enjoyment of the action without seeking an external motivator. Right?
Right.
Other people, and maybe some professional athletes, have a different motivator, which is money, fame, trophies, women, groupies. I don't know, whatever it is. It's an exterior. It's an exterior. It's an exterior cause. It's something not within themselves.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just finding what really does motivate you and being honest with yourself. I don't want, I want to be the best handball player that I can be, but the title of A player or the professional label, it doesn't make it any more enticing for me.
Right.
I just do it because I love the game.
I agree.
So I'm intrinsically a motivated person. The same thing with music and arts. I play the guitar not to be a professional guitarist, but I play it because I enjoy music and I enjoy learning and I enjoy singing. It's in my blood. I think it's something that I was born with, and I just do it for the love of the guitar and love of the music. Other people may have a different motivation. They want to serenade women with a guitar. Maybe that's their tool. Maybe that's their motivation. But I've always been internally motivated, and it's a blessing, I think. Well, I'm not going to say a blessing. It's a positive thing. It's just internally I'm always motivated to do something. I'm never staying still. But that's not how everybody is. And I've had some moments in my life where I've been that motivation has been countered by external factors, and which we'll talk about in more detail in a little bit. Danny.
Yeah. Again, it's an obsession with improvement. I do not like complacency. I don't like to be stagnant. I'm always looking for different ways to improve my health and my fitness. And this year has been a true testament of that, at least to me, because I hit a plateau about 2 months ago during my weightlifting training. I was doing a lot of the bodybuilding stuff and taking the approach that C.T. Fletcher and Mike Rashid were which they push, which is they call it overtraining. It's not really overtraining, but that's what they call it. Where you work out, you isolate a muscle to failure, basically. And with that, there's nothing wrong with that form of training. But I did hit a plateau about 2 months ago, and I said to myself, God damn it, I've been squatting 275, for the past 7 months. I've been benching 225. For the past 7 months, and I've been stuck at my deadlift at 405. So I started researching a new form of weight training because I do have an obsession with improvement. I wanted to improve my numbers.
Right.
And I started doing a powerlifting regimen, which has gotten my numbers up. I mean, today I was at the gym and I was able to get my 1 rep max to 245, which I was really happy about, which is a 20-pound increase from where I was about 3 weeks ago.
That's big.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's big.
Because I changed up my workout plan. I changed up my diet. I changed up my sleep patterns as well. And I've seen
You're sleeping better? You're sleeping longer?
Yeah, sleeping a little bit longer. On average, about 9 hours. I used to wake up around...
That's the life. Jesus, 9 hours.
I used to wake up around 6, 7 a.m. Daily. But recently with this new powerlifting regimen, I've been waking up at 8:30, 9 a.m.
Nice.
Because it requires more sleeping. But the point I'm trying to get at...
Hold on, before you get there, I'm sorry. So you're sleeping more because your body tells you to, or because of the training that you're doing? Are you sleeping? Is that happening automatically, or is it something that you wake up at 7 like you used to, and then you say, well, you know what, I'm gonna go back to sleep for another hour or two?
That's a good question. It does happen automatically, but I'm also very conscious of it. So it's not like I sleep 9 hours and then I'm like, oh, I wonder why I slept 9 hours.
Gotcha.
Now I'm cognizant of the fact that I have to sleep at least 8 hours, 8 to 9 hours. If I can't get to sleep, then whatever. Hey, stuff happens in life. But the past 3 weeks has been pretty smooth, where I've been getting 9 hours of sleep, and I'm conscious of it. I say to myself, I need to get these 9 hours so that my body can rebuild itself. There's a couple of podcasts out there on Barbell Shrugged where they talk about the importance of sleep and what it does to rebuild certain things in your nervous system, testosterone levels that are released.
Right.
Because most people think that when you go to the gym, that's where you pack on the muscle. Or that's where you get your strength from. But it's not. It's during the recovery process of your central nervous system rebuilding itself.
Yeah.
There's tons of things that are going on. I mean, like I said, you could search for it on Barbell Shrug because I don't know the specifics of it. But there's a ton of things that are going on in your body when you're getting deep sleep. And typically, you get into that deep sleep cycle when you're able to sleep more than 8 hours. But there's tons of things going on with your testosterone levels. I heard Kelly Starrett say that every male is supposed to wake up rock hard. You know,
I was about to say my testosterone levels are fucking peaking when I'm sleeping because it wakes me up. That's how bad it is.
So morning boners is actually a healthy thing because that's when some of your testosterone levels are peaking. It's normal to do.
I had a dream the other day that I was in St. John's University. This is a real dream, by the way. You're getting into my personal life now, Danny. And I had a dream, and I was against fraternities. I was one of those kids that didn't join a frat at SJU. And I went up to the podium one day and I said, you know what? My penis is harder than all your fraternities. People started clapping. It was a great dream. I woke up really excited.
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, man. If only I could get inside JC's head to live inside, to get a peek of what goes on inside
this may have to be edited. But, yeah, I just wanted to tell you.
Yeah, definitely, man. So I didn't take sleep as serious when I was working in the city council. You know, I was working 2 to 3 jobs at one point. I didn't really care. I said to myself, you know, you got to live hard, go hard, and freaking do what you got to do. You know, fuck sleep. Sleep is just, a commodity.
That's a New York mentality too.
But
New York.
I started realizing this year that no, I've improved tremendously. You know, my quality of life has gone up significantly since I've been getting more sleep.
Yeah. You feel better. You just feel better.
You feel better, and that's what we're talking about when it comes to motivation. It's an obsession with improvement, and that's what I want to do constantly. Is just improve. Yeah. Build. You know, take 2 steps forward. Hey, if I take a step back, at least I'm progressing.
Yeah, and it's fine to take a step back and 2 steps forward. Sometimes you take 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back. It's happened to me. It's happened to me recently with my weight training, but. I like to pay attention, and by paying attention is how you're able to make these, these findings or observations, and you can implement that and take it from there. But again, I lost my train of thought. You can continue.
Yeah, it's just with motivation, it is something that has to come within, or like you were saying, it could be.
Yeah.
What was the word you said? It was something. It sounded very scientific.
Oh, look! So I have it right here in front of me. Intrinsic motivation is the motivation to act for the sake of the activity alone. For example, people have intrinsic motivation to write poetry if they do it simply because they enjoy it. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is the motivation to act for external rewards. For example, people have extrinsic motivation to write if they do so in the hopes of getting published, being famous, and getting lots of groupies.
Yeah, we have a lot of those people on Facebook, Instagram, and occasionally Twitter.
Yeah.
And YouTube.
Identify your motive for motivation. Identify it because that is the first step. And identify... all right, Danny and I are extremely motivated people, right? You and I are extremely motivated people, and everybody knows it, and we live our lives, and it's blatantly there. We're just motivated people. But there's people that aren't motivated. There's people that lack the motivation, and there's people that want to be motivated. They see people like you, for example. Damn, I want to be like Danny. I want to go out there and lift 405 pounds off the ground with
Don't be like me.
without grunting and dropping the weights like I'm a professional Olympic lifter, but they can't find it within. They just try to find motivation, and they get motivated for one day, and the next day they lack the motivation. And I have friends and some family members that have that problem. They want to. Their mind tells them, listen, you have to do this. But when it comes down to it, when it comes down to preparing and setting up and executing, they fail.
That's the difficult part. A lot of people think that, you just go to the gym and then lift weights and, do whatever it is that you want and then walk right out. But a lot of what goes into fitness is preparation and a lot of the pre-stuff. And that's the difficult part, is doing your homework, reading certain blogs, looking up certain YouTube podcasts. That's the difficult part that turns a lot of people off. But I mean, if you have an obsession with improvement, you're gonna find any way to do so, and that's what's led us here to on our journey with fitness and handball.
You're right, and I've had certain periods of time where external situations have shut down the fire within, and I've been in there was a breakup that I went through that had me very, very depressed, and
the breakup,
and I was younger, and I was more insecure, and I wanted, and it was just a tough situation, and I didn't have motivation to do anything. I didn't have motivation to go to work. I didn't have motivation to get up out of my bed. I didn't have motivation to sing, to play the guitar. I had motivation to do anything whatsoever. But I did realize then that the reason for my lack of motivation was that I was deeply depressed, and that's okay. You have to, depression and emotional stress are part of being a human being,
right?
And it's okay to go through that. But it took me a while. I wasted a lot of time being depressed without realizing that I was deeply depressed, and wasted time. And that's something I hate to do, is waste time, because that time that I wasted, I'm never going to get it back.
Right. Well, I see it as a learning experience, because you had to go through that in order to become the person that you are right now.
You're right. But
you were able to learn more about yourself, more of what you can handle mentally. Because, I mean, physically, I'm assuming at that point you already knew what your capabilities are, more or less, what you were doing physically. But mentally, sometimes you need to go through these like they say, trials and tribulations.
No, definitely.
You got to go through these things just to see where you are mentally. It's a good mind check. Some people may see it as a negative, but I think it's a positive. It's at the moment you feel like shit. You've been there for me. I've been there for you during these sad times. But
yeah, we have.
It's I see it now as mental exercises, and it's only made us stronger.
Right.
Which I'm happy about.
And ideally you don't want to waste your time, and that's what I was getting at. You don't.
Sorry.
Ideally, time is a commodity, and it's the only commodity you don't get back.
Right.
But you do have to go through emotional distress in order to learn how to handle these situations. But I wasted or I spent time back then being depressed without understanding that I was deeply depressed, and everything took a change for the better when I sat down and I went through some research, and I spoke to some people, and I finally understood that I was deeply depressed. Therefore, I was deeply unmotivated.
Right.
And then I took steps to address the depression. Whatever steps. I mean, I'm not a professional psychologist or any of that stuff, but I mean, I did steps like I went on a vacation to Cartagena. My cousin Ivan Espinosa, shout out to him. He's moving out to Atlanta. We're gonna miss you. But he sponsored me on a trip. We went down there, and then I saw the beauty of the world, the beauty of life. We made friends, and that just put me in a different mindset. When I came back, it was time to grind again.
Right.
Something as simple as that made a difference. But with the understanding, though, that I was deeply depressed. Not deeply depressed because I was deeply unmotivated because I was deeply depressed.
Right.
Right. And sometimes if people out there are having difficulties motivating themselves and keeping up with a plan that you're setting for yourself, are you deeply depressed? Ask yourself in private. Look at yourself in the mirror. Are you depressed? Why are you depressed? What emotional stress are you going through? You don't have to tell anybody else but yourself.
And there's a pattern here. Again, you were confronted with this thing that you didn't know how to handle, but what was the first thing that you did? You identified what the problem was,
right.
Similar to your ACL injury. And sometimes that's the most difficult part for people to understand, is that you have to identify what the problem is first.
Yeah.
So you identified the problem, and what did you do? You didn't just, weep your sorrows away, into death.
Right.
You changed scenery. You changed things up a little bit.
Tried something new. And that has parallels over into fitness, because if you do the same thing over and over again, as I mentioned before, you're going to plateau. So you have to change up your routine. You have to change up the scenery. Whatever it is that you're doing, just change it up a little bit.
life's about experimenting.
It's all about experimenting.
Experiment a little. Do something different.
Every time you go to the doctor, you're an experiment.
Right. But the first thing is, in my opinion, is to identify what the problem is first so you can address it. Not run away from it. Because if you don't address it, it's going to be there, forever. I mean, I think, I'm not a psychologist either, but I think that's how people develop anxiety, is that they never get past a mental barrier.
Yeah.
They never want to address it. So
I agree with you there.
So they may find excuses, or they may get lost in their head as to why it is these things are happening to them, and then ultimately they just, never get out of their own heads. It's not a physical thing; it's a mental thing.
Yeah, it's overanalyzing a problem which may be simple, and you overanalyze and make it into a huge problem that becomes an anxiety attack.
Right.
Because you just can't get past it.
Right. So I'm kind of insensitive when it comes to these anxiety issues, because I think that whatever mental battles you're going through, you can get through it. It's not debilitating sometimes. Like, let's say having your limb cut off.
Yeah.
That,
and even that, people get through it. Like,
even that, people get through that. I mean, like you said before, the Special Olympics. I mean, you have people.
I love those.
This guy Pretorius, he was recently convicted, for murder, but he was, before
he was convicted for culpable manslaughter.
Oh, yes, the legal. Sorry, Mr.
Thank you, CNN Live.
But he was a story that touched many hearts because I think he had both his feet amputated.
Yeah, something happened when he was a kid. And both his legs, he has no legs. I mean, he has like little stubs or something.
Yeah, and he was able to progress. I mean, that's a physical barrier that he had to get over. So, I mean, when it comes to these mental barriers, it's just like, hey, man, you just got to suck it up, man up, and just try something different. Face your fucking fears.
I 100% agree with you. And I think that anybody who's going through some anxiety disorder that's been diagnosed, go look yourself in the mirror right now and say, man, I'm a human being. I'm an amazing machine. I can get through this, man. I'm amazing. For me to be here, there's been billions of years of evolution for me to be here right now.
Exactly.
There's a little mental dream or unrealistic thing that's happening in my head. I can get through it.
Right.
And I don't care if you're a doctor and if you're a freaking rocket scientist and you know how the brain functions with the molecules and cells and all that stuff and how it connects with the body and interprets everything. You don't know everything. But I have a deep belief that we're amazing machines that we can get through almost anything, and that's how we're here.
Exactly. Preach it, brother.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Damn. I think after that we need a small break, eh?
Yeah, you want to take a break? I wanted to touch upon. Yeah, we can take a break. We can take a break. Bye. And we're back. No, I'm just kidding. No, Danny. So I told you a story about depression and how that I realized that was hindering me from being as motivated as I usually am. But in life, shit happens when shit hits the fan, and then next thing you know, there's other reasons why you may find yourself not able to motivate yourself and get things done. I found that my lifestyle was affecting me. Like, I was unhealthy. I was getting sick all the time. I was eating a lot of crap. Mm-hmm. My diet, and we talked about it recently. My diet was a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi and a slice of pizza a day along with a pack of cigarettes. So that didn't contribute to my body, working the way it's supposed to. And I always felt tired, and I always felt sick, and I was always getting a cold. That didn't, that affected my levels of motivation.
Yeah, and I didn't touch upon it before, but there was a time in my life where I did live a very sedentary lifestyle. I had a car, and I had a small job. I had a small income. So what I would do was take my small income and take my car, drive down to Wendy's, and just buy maybe 9 or 10 things from the dollar menu, and just pig out and get some kind of false sense of a high from all the fat and all the the sugar rush from the bad carbohydrates, from the French fries, from the bread, from the fake cheese and the mystery meat that's in all those patties. So I was right there too, where I wasn't feeling good. I was getting sick. Maybe 2 or 3 times a year. and this past year I haven't got sick at all, thanks to the amount of sleep I've been getting. But your health it plays a huge role in motivation. At least it affected me as well.
Right. And I felt, sometimes you're hard-headed and you're stubborn, and I was, and I'm guilty of that. And people would say, man, you got to stop doing this, you got to stop doing that. And I just never listened. I didn't give a fuck. But when I was home alone and when I was going through the pains and aches of illness, whatever illness, for whatever reason, then you would be like, man, maybe I should stop doing something. But that was the beginning.
Right.
That was the beginning. So, again, it's all about paying attention and trying different things, different methods.
Identifying the problem and trying something new.
So what did I try to do, which is very difficult? I tried to quit smoking. So that's the first step, right? I didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't buy a lot of food, but I spent a lot of my money on cigarettes, and cigarettes in New York City, if you're from around here, are fucking expensive as fuck. I mean, you're talking about a pack of cigarettes for 10, I don't know about now, but maybe like $10 or $11 when I quit. So that was affecting my pocket like crazy. So I tried to quit smoking. Well, I wasn't successful at first, but it was worth the try. It was worth the experience. Right.
I mean, you were willing to break your everyday cycle, and what was comforting to you were able to break that and try something new, which that's admirable. And people out there should, again with the preaching stuff, but hey, people out there should just try something new. If the old way wasn't working and you want different results, try something new. It's that simple.
And we're talking to you, like you, my friend, you, Joe, you, Matthew, you, Sarah, you, just a normal person like we are. You're listening to us maybe because you want to find want to get ideas on how to get motivated. We've been there. I'm telling you right now, I've been there where I'm a motivated person by nature, just my nature. But
I think we all are. It's just people for some reason don't want to listen to their inner callings.
And that's a valid point. I think so. I think so too. I think that I'm no different than anybody else. But if you find yourself not being motivated, or these are just things that I did when I realized that I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I wasn't happy. That's the bottom line. I wasn't happy, and I realized it because maybe I was depressed. I was unhealthy. Smoking was making me feel a certain way. Putting all those chemicals in my body made me feel differently, and it was affecting me, causing anxiety and all this and that. So just trying, literally just giving yourself a shot to try something new, even if you do end up failing, because there are things that are difficult to accomplish. Yeah. One of them is quitting smoking. That's not an easy task, because you have a corporation that makes billions of dollars and pays top scientists to put stuff in your cigarettes to make you addicted to them.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm assuming the reason why you wanted to quit smoking was to improve the quality of your life.
Absolutely. I was unhappy.
Exactly. Which is to be happy. And I think a lot of people, for whatever reason, they want to mask this urge to be happy for whatever reason it is, and what they end up doing is going out and getting wasted. There's nothing wrong with having the occasional beer or two, or even 3 or 4 beers, having some liquor, having some wine, having some cognac, smoking a cigar here and there, smoking some weed, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that, doing it occasionally. But when it comes to when it comes to a point where you start masking your happiness with these things, you think that you're gonna be happy by binge drinking, by drinking 8 beers in one sitting,
right?
Getting shit faced completely at a club or at a lounge, and just losing control of your bodily functions, passing out. I mean, I've been there tons of times where I've passed out, I've thrown up in lounges, I've gotten thrown out of clubs, because of that reason. I mean, there's no reason. Well, there was a reason. Don't get me wrong. The reason why I was doing was because I was masking what I thought was happiness with alcohol and just different different things that were hurting my body and wasn't making me happy. I mean, at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, at the end of the month, I wasn't happy.
Yeah, you're medicating yourself with alcohol and drugs, thinking it's going to numb the pain, but it may feel good that one moment, and it does feel good until you abuse it, and then it just fucks you over because it doesn't work. And I feel the same way for pain medication, any type of medication. In my opinion, it's just trying to mask, trying to not address the real problem. We'd been a period of time where all we did was drink every day and party every day, right?
Yeah.
After work.
Yeah.
And we used to do it a lot in Forest Hills. And you say, you know what? Let's go to the city. So we go to Manhattan, and we're sitting at a bar, just another bar in New York. And I'm looking around, and I'm already drunk, and I've already spent like $100-something. And you're just there. We're at the bar. There's people around, but it's not live. It's not popping. Like, oh shit, what a party! And I'm looking around. At that point, I was already single for like 6 years, and I bang on the bar, and I'm like, fuck. It's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
It's the same story. Nothing's changing. This is not what it's about.
Right.
That was a turning moment for me.
Right.
That was the beginning of something for us.
Yeah, I think more so for you because I think you had been doing it, like you said, you were single, I think, what'd you say, 6 years or so?
Yeah,
at that point.
5 to 6 years.
I think at that point you were a little bit past where I was. I was still kind of, still kind of in party mode, and I really was unhappy, and I was still kind of accepting this lifestyle of partying every day. I mean, I agree with you 100% that it was a turning point, but I think it hit you a little bit harder than it hit me at that point.
Yeah, because of the because of the particular situation.
Right.
But I think had we not been at that point, then I think both of the outcome would have been different. We would prolong that facet of our life. I think, and what I realized that night was that enough is enough.
Yeah.
Enough bullshit, Juan. Enough. We are too young, capable people to do big things, and we're gonna make them happen. But so more than that, just to be specific, what I realized that night, Danny, I think I realized that we needed some more structure, in our life.
Right. We had zero structure at that time. It was reckless.
People in the past, people tell me you need structure, Juan, and I would find it kind of offensive in a way. Like, who the fuck are you telling me I need structure?
Right.
And I didn't understand it, and I saw it as like, that's what my mom says, that's what my grandma says, that's what older people are saying, but I never saw it as an important foundation for my happiness until that night. I felt like I needed some structure,
right?
And that took us to that was just the beginning of where we are today, or why we're here today. Because
I remember that moment, because it kind of opened my eyes. I was like, damn. I really enjoy all this partying, and I thought Juan did, but you did make an interesting point that night where I was like, you know what? It has been extremely repetitive. We're not doing anything positive. It's not really anything conducive towards improving our future.
Right.
We were basically just drinking, spending, like you were saying before, hundreds of dollars on liquors and on beers, on bartenders, on giving shots to other people and buying drinks for strangers that were doing absolutely nothing for us. So I think that was when was that? That was like in 2010, I believe.
Maybe end of 2000. I think it was cold. It might have been the winter time of 2010 or 11, beginning of 11.
Yeah, around that time.
That was yesterday.
Yeah, Joe Mulberry joined us here at the BeFit headquarters about 2 hours ago. We've been when we took our break, we were just bullshitting a little bit with him.
Yeah, watching videos and talking about how awesome we are.
Exactly, and getting naked. Oh.
Yo, Daniel, what are you doing? What are you doing? You don't say those things out loud.
I'm on right now.
But what I wanted to ask you, Juan, was, is that a time period that you'd like to revisit occasionally, just to get some perspective as to where your life is now and your way of thinking right now?
Yeah, I go back there all the time, Danny, because it just shows me where I've been and how I felt. Because sometimes I can lose track or I can forget why I'm here and how I got here. So I go back, not to dwell on the past, but I go back just to realize, what had to happen in my life for me to learn certain lessons and to activate my motivation to do things.
Right.
And I visit key moments. I'm not a big dweller. I've told you many times that a lot of the shit that happens in the past, I don't remember.
Right.
Like that, Caesar, the guy from the park.
Yeah.
He came up to me and he said, Juan, remember that time, 2005 or whatever? He gave me the specific month. I'm like, yeah, Jesus, I don't remember. He's like, yeah, we went to the beach. It was with some girls and you were giving them beer. And in my head, I'm like, shit, I don't fucking remember going ever to the beach with you. and it was upsetting a little bit because it sounded like a great time.
Right, yeah.
And I don't remember it. But I go back to specific key moments like that one. That's a moment I'll never forget because it just meant that much to me. And I think to us and to our group of friends, because ultimately we inspire each other and we inspire the people that surround us. And I think since that we've moved progressively forward, and I'm happy.
Yeah, because I like to go back to the past. I don't dwell on the past, but I do like to go back occasionally just to get some perspective as to where I am today and where I was before.
Yeah.
I have these mental photographs, or I have certain conversations that I was having before, certain arguments, and I just like to go back occasionally and just put some perspective as to how much I think I've progressed, from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was, because our thought process was completely different back then.
Completely different.
I mean, our goals and what we wanted from life, it was just completely different. Before it was just, work, after work, drink, meet up at the bar, meet up for happy hour, and that was on the weekdays. Then on weekends, forget it. It was, where we popping bottles popping.
I like to summarize it sometimes like this. Me and Daniel and our group of friends, we were letting society dictate our life. We had no control. We just did what everybody else was doing.
Yeah, it was monkey see, monkey do. We were just repeating what everyone else was doing around us.
If I didn't go out that night, it was a waste of a night because everybody else was out there.
Yeah, sometimes I'd pace in my room and be like, damn, man, I got to go out tonight. It's fucking Saturday and I'm not doing shit.
Like a social obligation.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, man, it used to make me feel like shit. I was like, damn, what am I doing? But instead of just, being grateful that I didn't go out that night to save my body and to save some money. But
that never crossed our minds back then.
At that time, no, hell no. I mean,
but now I look back and I say, well, what we did do is we took control of our life and what we want.
Right.
And that is even more motivation. It gives me the daily motivation to wake up earlier than I've ever woken up, to work harder than I ever worked before. And that's like my secret. It's like I think that I lived, paid attention to my emotions, to how I was feeling, tried new things, learned from them, whether they were successful or unsuccessful, and continued to move forward. That's it. I think that's my secret.
Yeah, man. The whole waking up early thing is funny because I remember when I used to go to your house out in Regal Park. And this was like, it was around 11 a.m. or 12 p.m., midday. And I used to go over there. And I think Omar, he was living there with you at the time. He would open the door for me. He would buzz me in. And then you'd be in the room still sleeping. It's like, yo, we're supposed to meet up at like 10 a.m. to go play handball. I thought I was late. We had said to each other, we're going to meet up at 10 a.m. to go play some handball, go play handy all day. And then I thought I was late because I was hungover or whatever, showing up at 11:30, and then there Juan is, sleeping. And that continued for about, that lifestyle of meeting up at around 11, 12 to go play handball. We continued that lifestyle for like a year and a half where it was very difficult to wake up early.
It was almost impossible for me. Like I wanted to put out, but it wasn't coherent what I was doing. Like we talked about in the last podcast, you want to play handball tomorrow. You want to exert yourself to that. You want to perform. You want to win. But then what do you do the night before? You go out and you fucking party all night and drink and spend all your money and eat crap. And what are you, the fucking Terminator? Yeah. You're going to wake up like nothing ever happened?
Sometimes it was mad difficult just to wake up because I was like, damn, man, I have a huge ass headache. I got cotton mouth up the wazoo. I'm feeling signs of depression because I spent so much money and, this alcohol is having some weird molecular effect on my body. My chemicals in my brains and everything was all imbalanced. So I was just a mess at that time, at that point. And then on top of that, I wanted to go play handball for 8 hours straight. It was just unrealistic at that time. And that's why I didn't perform well. That's why I was extremely unhappy. And it was just a vicious cycle of just nonsense.
It really in terms of like motivation, like I'm going back right now in my mind, and I'm thinking like I was still motivated to wake up and play handball. That's good. That's a good sign. But I was also demotivated by the fact that I felt like crap. And then I would also second guess everything. You know, beer shit, fuck. I have to make sure I go to the bathroom. That just delayed me another 2 hours because sometimes you don't know. You know, you don't want to be at the park in the middle of a game. You get the bubble guts and then you got to run back. It's happened in the past. I don't want to go through that again. It just fucked up everything. That alone, your lifestyle, what you do at nighttime, it could be the reason why you're not motivated to do anything, why you can't do it, why you feel like you can't do it. Because it happened to me. I felt like I couldn't do it. There was days that I really wanted to play ball, but it just didn't work.
Playing basketball?
No, handball, man. Handball.
My bad.
Do we play with do we not play with a ball when we play handball?
I play with balls all the time.
I know you do. Blue balls.
But you know, like I always say, it may sound corny to some people, but I'm happy that I was able to go through that and experience those things because I was able to learn from it. It let me know who I was as a person. It let me know that I didn't want to be that person, that drunk person or the person that's just reckless with their health and reckless with their life. You know, I did have fun. Don't get me wrong. I did have, you know, some fun with that, but I'm a lot happier now with my fitness and the program that I'm going through, the whole powerlifting routine. I'm exponentially.
It's exciting. It's an exciting time.
I'm exponentially happier now. So
I think that to sum it up, like, you know, in terms that we all understand, is that we were it was monkey see, monkey do business, and then one day we decided to man up, take responsibility, and do what we believe and do what we want. Right? We manned up. We said we need to change. Change is difficult, people. Change is fucking difficult. It's true. Nobody wants to change shit about themselves. You try to change everybody else but yourself.
Right.
And we decided we needed to change, and for some people it's easier, for some people it's more difficult, and we changed the things that we thought were necessary to change. And one last thing that gave me freedom, I don't know if it's because we're meant to be together, Daniel, but we kind of like crossed these bridges we together at the same time.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny that it works that way.
It's positive
like,
energy.
Not only that, like we're always there for each other. Like when you went through a breakup, I was there for you.
Yeah, I remember
like
both my breakups.
Like I had the time. Like, you know, like it wasn't like, oh yeah, I just have to be there. It just happened that way.
I remember at those times it was the scheduling was really weird, but we'd be in Van Cortlandt Park till about 11 p.m. when the lights went out, and then after that we'd go to Harlem where the 24-hour lights were on out in 120th Street and 2nd Avenue.
Yeah, shout out to that park. I've been there a long time.
And then we'd be there till like 4 a.m. You know, because I was going through my first breakup and I was just extremely depressed and I just didn't want to deal with it. We kind of dealt with it in a positive way.
We did, without even knowing it.
Without even knowing it, yeah. We dealt with it in a good way, playing handball. But we also, at that point, that's when we started drinking heavily as well. We was
hanging out too much. There was too much time to do so much shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And well, the reason I bring that up is because we also crossed the bridge of how we perceive money and how we perceive work and how we perceive time. And we coincide in that, you know, and that's just what gave me freedom, and that really motivates me even more than anything. Is I was putting too much goddamn emphasis on money in my life. Yeah. I grew up, everything was money. You know, it could be a cultural thing. It could be, I don't know, it could be that I'm from New York and everybody's a hustler out here, but everything was money to me. If it wasn't making money, it wasn't making sense. You know, that was just like, everything was money. Scheme here, scheme there. How to make money here. How to make more money there. How to do this. Money. As if that's the most important thing. I was selling my fucking life to money. That's bullshit. And we crossed this path together. Like, you know, we realized a job ain't shit. It's just, money is just money. What's more important than money? Everything is more important than money.
Yeah, quality of life.
Happiness.
And
health.
What the experience has showed me is that it's a gradual process. It doesn't just happen from one day to the next. It didn't, you know, I wasn't 195 pounds, you know, a raging, binging alcoholic.
No, unless you're Mark.
Unless you're Mark, yeah, exactly, yeah, Mark. You just got to give him 2 weeks. He'll do anything.
Yeah,
he'll become an astronaut within 2 weeks. Forget it. He could be Jordan one-on-one back in the 90s if you give him 2 weeks to practice. That's all he needs.
He discovered the theory of relativity.
In 2 days.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it past him that he wholeheartedly believes that. But it didn't happen overnight. It was a gradual process, and that goes for many things, many disciplines in life. It's just a gradual process. Like Kelly Starrett said in one of his recent podcasts, it takes about 10,000 repetitions for a child to learn how to walk. 10,000 repetitions. So it's a gradual thing. As long as you progress forward, it doesn't matter if like I said before, it doesn't matter if you take one step back, as long as you take 2 steps forward. And on that premise, it helped me get to where I'm at today. Sometimes I wouldn't lift or I wouldn't complete a lift that I was aiming for that particular day. But I kept on telling myself in the back of my head, hey, just keep on going to the gym. You're going to get stronger. You're going to get stronger. You're going to get stronger. And little by little, maintaining that discipline of going to the gym, I was able to burn, 40 pounds of fat or whatever it was from the time that I was, hanging out with you and drinking and eating like a madman. Yeah. No. So it's a gradual thing.
It's a gradual thing. It's definitely a gradual thing. I also think that the understanding that remember that video I talked about that I saw on YouTube where culturally they analyze how Japanese people view progress and how like Western or like Latin Americans feel about money and about work.
Right.
Where in the West it's all about the quick get rich scheme, or how to get abs in 6 days, or how to everything's like instant coffee, instant food, instant results, instant money. But on the other side of the world, they take pride, and they take a lot of pride in the basics, learning the basics, mastering the basics little by little, where the ultimate goal takes years and years and years, but that's not the reason they do it. They do it just to go through the progression.
Yeah.
That opened up my eyes a little bit more into how people, or how I was discouraged in the past by failing at the gym because I was aiming too high without knowing how to get that high, how to progress, how to get to that goal. It is all about progression. It is all about paying attention to the details. Motivation is no different. You need motivation to do anything in your life, and you have the motivation within you. I know it. I have it within me. You have it within you. Just tap into it. That's how we're tapping into it. Is just giving you examples of how I did it.
You don't accomplish your goal for the day. You know what? There's always tomorrow. The sun is going to rise again. Right. Whether it's a cloudy day or if it's raining, the sun is going to be there. You have time to do things. You have a whole lifetime to experiment and do things that ultimately you want to do. You don't have to live your life following orders or
unless you want to,
or entertaining stereotypes. Do what you want to do. I do what I want to do now. No one tells me, you got to wake up at this time for this and that, or you got to work out this routine, this and that. No, I do what I want. I experiment, and I'm a lot happier for that. So, that can carry on over into you. Not to sound too arrogant, but how it is.
But those are real. I think what we're sharing is real experiences. We can get caught up in technicalities and all this and that, but that's how I tapped into my motivation to get anything done. And when I wasn't able to tap into it, I had to identify why. I just didn't feel right, just allowing myself to get carried away. Right. It did happen for a while, like with the depression, or when I was unhealthy and I was eating bad. But at a certain point, you have to say, again, wake up, enough with the bullshit.
Yeah.
What is the problem, Juan? Is the problem that you're smoking too much? You can't eat because you spend $20 a day in cigarettes? Well, you got to fix that problem. No one's going to stop smoking for you.
Right.
No one's going to start thinking positive for you. You have to do it.
I think one of the issues also is that we've highly desensitized communication and language. Anytime I open up my Facebook, my Instagram, or Twitter, on a Monday, the very first thing I see is FML. Fuck my life.
Yeah, I hate that.
It's Monday or if it's on a Tuesday, they'll show an ugly picture and it'll be like, Monday's ugly sister. Monday's ugly sister, Tuesday. And I think people have become desensitized to these powerful words that they're using. I mean, fuck my life? Nah, man. Embrace your life. Life is a beautiful thing. Who cares if it's a Monday? Who cares if it's a Wednesday? The fact that you're healthy and that you're able to lost my train of thought. But the fact that you have the ability to conquer a goal, again, I'm not trying to preach or anything. We're just talking right now. But the fact that you have the ability to conquer each and every one of your goals each day, or you could use each day to progress towards your goals, to me, that's a beautiful thing. I really don't care what day of the week it is.
I don't care either. I didn't even know today was Thursday until you mentioned it. Oh, happy Rosh Hashanah. And just to say this out there, because I had a baseball era. Like Danny and Joe and Beto, and, all of them they're baseball players, and Matthew, and they love baseball. But I had like 1 year where I loved baseball, when Tino Martinez and that year they won the World Series.
I think that was 98.
98, yeah, man. I was Paul O'Neill, yeah. And but I know that Derek Jeter's supposed to do his farewell last day of playing baseball, and that's one person in the baseball community that I fucking look up to. That dude is the man. I hope that they do have the game, because when it rains, it's raining in New York City now, but when it rains they cancel games, right?
Yeah. And
there's people that pay like $15,000 for a chance to sit there.
Oh, those front seats. Yeah, they're definitely in the thousands.
No, I saw it this morning on the news, $15,000 like for a ticket. But I hope that the game happens. You're
witnessing history.
That guy's the man. Anyways, Derek Jeter, you the man, bro.
On and off the field, on and off. I never see him in the papers, and he's in New York too.
How long he only played for the Yankees, right?
Yeah, only the Yankees. Yeah.
Has that ever happened where someone's
high school?
Yeah, you have like Mariano Rivera, Bernie Williams. Who else is some of the big?
It doesn't happen often that they stay in one team.
Yeah, and this era of baseball doesn't happen that much with all the transactions that are going on in the minor league system and just within the business of baseball. It doesn't happen that often now.
Are trying to do that right now with Roethlisberger and Harper, but you never know. Next year they could trade him.
I just hope he gets to do this game today.
It is a sad day in New York. That's why we got the clouds.
God's crying up there.
Yeah, God made it special for Derek Jeter. No one else. Not for the starving people in Africa or the people that need water or the people that have Ebola. Nah, forget them. What God said was, "Hey, Derek Jeter, I'm gonna make this day for you." And we're gonna make that important.
We're gonna make the clouds cry. Getting back to what you were saying, Danny, which was something I forgot.
Yeah, me too. Going back to the desensitization of our language. I don't even know if that word exists. Desensitization. But
let me see. Let me look for the dictionary. Google says it doesn't.
Yeah, so we're talking about days of the week. It really doesn't matter to me if it's a Friday, if it's a Monday. I don't have to wait for a Friday for a cause of celebration.
Yeah.
When I celebrate, when I hit my PR like I did today, benching 245 pounds. That's when I celebrate.
He doesn't mean he hits his public relations manager. That's not what he means. Please explain what you mean before they think you're some violent or a Puerto Rican.
Yeah. That I pressed 45 Puerto Ricans. No. PR is a personal record. It's just my personal best. I set a goal. I told myself that I was going to bench today 250 pounds, but I got to the gym around 7:30 a.m. today, and there wasn't that many people, so I couldn't get a spotter. So I was a little scared.
You gotta watch out who you ask for a spot. The spotter needs to look like he can handle 250 pounds.
Man, the spotter...
I get scared sometimes when I ask for a spot. I'm not gonna ask. Nothing wrong with being skinny, but I'm not gonna ask you if you're really frail to spot me. I'm sorry.
250 pounds is not even that much weight in comparison to some of the people that we follow. Just on YouTube and stuff. Yeah. Nonetheless, if you are gonna spot me, please put on some deodorant, because I've had some spotters in the past that. They're just sweating up the place.
You know what happened to me? I never said this before, but this actually happened to me. This is fucking disgusting. There's a guy at my gym that he's there in the mornings, and he's pretty strong, and he's always doing high intensity stuff. But I want, if I work out by myself, sometimes you have limitations because you can't really push to the limit. You don't want to get in the position where you're stuck with the bar in your neck. So I asked this guy to fucking spot me, and as I go all the way down to doing bench press, and as I'm coming up, his fucking sweat dripping on my face, bro.
Damn, nice. That's like a sexual experience right there.
Jesus Christ.
You have to be mentally strong at that point.
Yo, you have to, yeah. It kind of like, I was shocked at first, but at the same time, I'm like, it's only sweat. You got to get this weight up and put it on the rack.
That's right, man. That's focus right there. That's ambition, fucking not stopping.
That could have been.
You in a survival tactic.
He did.
That's like a biological attack right there.
Well, think about it like this. Let's say that you're crossing. They say, imagine like this. Imagine you're about to give the speech of your life in front of like outside on TV, right? And then as you're about to say your first word, a bird flies by and decides that your mouth is the best toilet he's ever seen.
Extra
he
protein.
Shits in your mouth. What are you gonna do?
Just spit it out and do what I got to do.
Try and use it as an advantage. A crowd breaker,
An icebreaker, yeah, that could be.
Icebreaker,
It's my good luck day or something. I don't know.
It tastes like shit. That's what I would say. This tastes like shit.
Nah, the shit in my mouth, I could put the shit out of my mouth by bullshitting you guys.
Yeah.
So
Getting back to the days of the week, I don't celebrate on a Friday, because it's the end of my work week. My work week never stops. This is a 24/7 thing, baby. My body is my engine, and I'm constantly thinking about how I'm gonna progress or make it better. That's my outlook. You may have a different outlook out there or whatever. You may think that you got to party it up on Thirsty Thursdays or Freaky Fridays or whatever the case may be.
Slutty Saturdays.
Slutty Saturdays.
I like that. I'm gonna throw a party. Slutty Saturdays. If you're not a slut, you can't come in.
Yeah, to me,
kidding.
every day is a day to celebrate. Not to sound too too what do you call it, like a church person, or like a yoga person or a Zen master. But I genuinely enjoy every single day that I'm healthy.
That's absolutely right, and progress. A lot of people. There's a fitness rise in culture, and there's also a counterculture. The people that feel that you don't have to do fitness to be
Understandably.
happy. It's fine. The counterculture is fine because ultimately you do what makes you happy. But the general idea is that your body is your medium, which carries you to be able to execute whatever you want in your life.
Right.
If you want to be a surgeon, and your body, not only you have to know what you're doing, but your hands have to be able to do it. You have to be able to stand on your 2 feet to do a 10-hour surgery.
Yeah.
You have to be able to handle stress and pressure and think on your feet, be on your toes if anything happens. And in my opinion, if you're a healthy individual who's been paying attention to the details and doing everything that's in your power to be at your best and in your human capacity, then you're going to be able to do that surgery and you're going to be able to succeed. So it's not just, I want to be fit, I want to grow my muscles and go around with a tank top showing the world that I can curl a bar with weight on it.
It's not strictly vanity. It's not strictly for vanity purposes.
We're trying to be better human beings in general, not only physically, but emotionally, intellectually, spiritually even.
Right. And I can understand why there is a counterculture to fitness out there, because there are a lot of people that come off very strong when it comes to fitness.
Yeah.
You do have your roid heads. Don't get me wrong. There are users and abusers of steroids out there. I'm not gonna completely say that steroids are bad, because I've done some research and I don't think they're completely bad. I mean, I've just barely scratched the surface on
it really depends on your perspective on how. I think people just say they're bad because that's the general consensus. It's bad.
Right.
You shouldn't do it. It's cheating. And I don't know about all that.
It's labeled as a drug and it's illegal, but that's just political stuff, political mumbo jumbo. But I can understand why there is a counterculture, because there are people that come off very strong, and there are people that do like to preach a lot and say that this is what you got to do. This is the diet that you got to follow. You got to work out biceps 5 times a week. You got to work out chest about 6 times a week. Monday is International Chest Day.
The fucking know-it-alls. They know everything.
People that do upper body and never squat, never deadlift, never do any of the basic functioning movements. And there's a lot of them out there. So I understand why it's not appealing to a lot of people, to get into gym culture, to get into fitness, because you do have those idiots out there that ultimately give fitness a bad name. So you are going to have, people, the counterculture people that say, oh, I want to join Planet Fitness because I don't want to become a lunk. I want to just maintain this body that I have. I just want to stay average, which is fine. If that's what you want to be, then if that's what makes you happy, then by all means, go ahead and do it.
I honestly don't think there's a lot of people out there that look at themselves and say, I'm okay with being average. I mean, if you are one of those people and you're happy and you have an explanation, like, try enlighten me, because I do not understand that. When I was working in Forest Hills for a private real estate company, property management company, I would work till 5 or 6 p.m. and the gym, New York Sports Club, was 2 blocks away. So I was, speed walking because I couldn't wait any longer to get into the gym. And I was speed walking, and as I'm walking past somebody in front of the gym, this guy with the gut the size of Kansas, a shirt that's been worn for at least 20 decades, 200 years. He's walking with his wife, and I guess he's walking with people, let's say family members. He looks inside. He looks through the window. He looks inside in the gym, and he looks at his wife, and he says, "Man, do people really have time to do this?"
Oh my God! Whatever.
I couldn't believe it.
Man, do you have time to be stuffing your face like that? Like,
exactly.
goddamn.
Like,
fine
with counterculture. There's always going to be believers and non-believers, and that's fine. And everybody's going to have their own ideas and their own opinions. But that right there, that's not counterculture. That's just hate. That's just ignorant hate.
Yeah.
Something that they don't even understand.
Right. It's ill-advised hate. It's just, misinformed. That's basically... That's I think the bulk of the counterculture against fitness, I think it's just misinformed people. Yeah. And the people that, those roid heads out there, those the guys that give fitness a bad name, I just think that they're extremely misinformed and have the same amount of insecurities that the counterculture has.
Yeah. I think you're accurately there.
I think that's what it comes down to, is just insecurities and finding excuses to to justify their behavior. Whether you're one of those lunks that Planet Fitness describes, or you're one of those fitness haters.
Yeah, what's up with that though? Like, why is Planet Fitness giving away pizza at a gym? Is there like a reason for that?
Yeah, I looked into that a few weeks back because I don't understand the culture at Planet Fitness. Nothing against them, whatever. Hey,
yeah, we went there for a few times, huh?
Yeah, I was a member there. I was a member for about 2 years because it was it was real cheap. I wasn't lifting that heavy at the time.
It's right here.
It was within walking distance. I could bring a member, or I could bring a guest whenever I wanted.
So what's up with the pizza?
It was a good deal. But what Planet Fitness says, I forgot where it is that I read this, or I saw it on YouTube. They say that they give bagels and pizza to people because they want them to stay average. They don't want them to turn into quote fitness freaks. Something along those lines.
What?
Yeah,
that's insanity. Really? That's what they said?
That's I think I saw it. I mean, I'll go out on a limb and say, yeah, that's what they said. They want to maintain people average. That's the people that they want to target are those people that want to stay average.
Well, yeah, the advertisements do surely suggest that they're okay with just like people that go to the gym to do 5-pound curls every single day, and that's fine for them. Yeah, or walk 5 minutes on the treadmill and call that a workout.
All they have are Smith machines and dumbbells that go up to 60 pounds. I mean,
I don't get that.
It's just very limited.
If anybody has out there some like, enlighten me, please. I'm all about learning. I just want to understand. I want to have a better understanding of what's the point. Like, if you have so many options to better yourself, why would you go to an institution that would just want you to stay mediocre? An
institution that just puts limits on your progress, ultimately.
That's crazy. But talk about a glass ceiling. Is that even, that's a fucking iron ceiling. You're not getting past that shit.
Yeah, it's the culture over there is weird, but hey, whatever, to each his own, or however that saying goes.
You know what? We gotta build our own gym. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, man, definitely. BeFit. I don't even know what it's gonna be called, but
BeFit Radio headquarters. Where
yeah.
No pizza down there. Yeah. No pizza.
Strictly barbells and iron.
Yeah, I ate enough pizza in my lifetime, I think. Like, I'm not even interested in a slice of pizza. Some people love pizza. I loved it for a long time, but I've had enough.
Ooh, I love pizza.
You still love pizza?
I still love pizza.
I think we're having pizza tonight.
But I feel like I just ate enough pizza in my lifetime. Unless you come up with a pizza that I've never heard of before that has something special, like protein pizza, maybe I'll be.
Well, cheese is partially a protein.
It's also fungus.
Yes, very true.
That is very delicious.
Delicious fungus. No.
In moderation, like, if you have one cheat meal.
I just feel like I ate so much pizza in my life that I've had enough pizza. That, like, you ever had that feeling? You did something so much already that
raviolis
it's...
for me. Yeah. I've had enough raviolis that I don't need to have raviolis ever again for the rest of my life.
I want to give a shout out to Leo Moscoso out there in California. All of our friends are moving to California. We'll be there soon. But no, Leo and I, and Danny too. You also worked with us at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. Dunkin' Donuts over on Casino, across the street from Queens College.
Yeah, we got hired right after they made it into a Baskin Robbins and Dunkin' Donuts. When they did the merger or whatever.
That job, I hated that job.
That job sucked. But
making the partials, that shit sucked.
You know what sucked more? Fucking scooping the ice cream. Yeah. That shit was mad hard.
Sometimes that shit would come right out of the freezer. It was rock hard. Like, damn. I had to wet the scooper a couple of times, and then customers would get mad. Like, hey, what's all this water on my ice cream?
Never ending lines. But I never. That was the first time in my life that I knew that I couldn't eat donuts like that anymore. It was just the smell of donuts really just made me sick. Yeah, made me sick.
To this day, still.
Yeah, I can't say like now, but for a long time after I quit, I never ate a donut. Few years at least.
That stench would just stay, like the shirt that we were given. It was like a polo style shirt.
Yeah,
that stench would just stay on that shirt.
I used to work with Wallabies. I used to take my Wallabies to work. That was super comfortable.
I remember they would come back mad powdered.
Yeah, powdery. Yeah.
That's one of those memories one of those images that'll never leave my head. Is just powdered suede Wallabies.
I used to come home. We only worked 6-hour shifts. You remember that? It was a 6-hour shift. And I used to always come home wondering, how do people work more than 6 hours on their feet? Because it was painful.
Yeah, I mean, they were real jerks over there. They told us that we had like a half an hour break and that we couldn't sit down at all during those 6 hours. Like, at all. Like, if there was nothing to do, we had to make something dirty to make believe that we're cleaning or something like that. Because the cameras were always watching. It was nonsense. Always on my feet.
I heard a story about the Dunkin' Donuts. Juan dropped a tray. Mr. JC.
Oh, no, that wasn't me. No. There's
a full glazed donut tray.
It's a rumor, I believe.
It's a rumor. I don't remember that. Like, remember I told you I don't remember stuff that happens? But they say that supposedly, like, I dropped a full tray of donuts and then I put it back and then I sold them. I'm not the type of person to do that shit. Everybody knows that. I'm a clean conscious kind of guy. But if it happened, listen, sometimes shit happens. I don't know.
5 second rule.
No, a new study just came out recently that the 3-second rule is actually has some validity to it.
Depending on what kind of floor it falls on.
Yeah, if it falls on a turd of shit, you're fucked.
I don't know. I still think that the 3-second rule is not valid.
I've been guilty of that.
It's gone.
If I want it bad enough and it falls like here, I'll eat it.
Survival situation, yeah, I'm eating it.
Yeah, I feel the same way too. Like if I really want it that bad, if I'm hungry, I'm like, man, shit, I just dropped a piece of chicken. Fuck it. Just pick it up and eat it.
I'm gonna be honest with you people out there. Sometimes it happens with chocolate. You break a piece off the chocolate bar and it falls. But I love chocolate, so those are the situations like, you know what? I want this piece of chocolate. And I would have this piece of chocolate no matter what.
Post-workout, if that chicken falls post-workout, I'm picking it up and eating it. Post-workout, need that protein, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I love chocolate too, man. Chocolate's not even that bad, I don't think, right? Or is it?
I think dark chocolate.
The dark chocolate.
Research suggests that dark chocolate is good for you. I like milk chocolate.
Yeah, me too.
And I like the French and the Swiss chocolate.
Oh my God!
Oh, Jesus! They opened up a little fruit and grocery vegetable place here around the corner, and they import these freaking Swiss chocolate bars at like $3 a pop, but it's just exquisite, delicious chocolate. And I'm in the process right now of realizing that I'm addicted to them, so I'm trying to stay off the chocolate.
Progression. Gotta progress.
I will be capable of doing it like I did everything else, but it's tough because I really like chocolate, you know?
Once in a while is good, man. Just like anything else, man. You know, I
want to get rid of that though. Like every once in a while, a lot of people say that. Every once in a while, it's fine. Every once in a while, it's fine. I want to say, you know what? I'm gonna make a decision and say 3 months I'm not gonna have fucking chocolate. Then after the 3 months, then I'll see where I'm at and say, all right, maybe I'll have a chocolate today. Because I think like people get stuck in that every once in a while. They'll say, oh, every once in a while. But what's every once in a while mean exactly? Like once a week?
Yeah,
3 times a week? There is no like, right?
Depends on the person.
On the person. So for my girlfriend, it could be every once in a while, every 3 days, you could have a big bowl of pasta. That's not every once in a while, in my opinion.
Every once in a while, it could be 8 hours.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Like someone saying, you know, I have a cigarette here every once in a while. What are they having, like 3 cigarettes a day?
Yeah.
I bet that guy that said, do people have time for this? The guy standing outside of the New York Sports Club, he probably, you know, to him, it's probably like every 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
That really took me for a spin there for a moment.
He's not the only one.
But he said it. He believed it. People actually have time for this?
Yeah.
I looked at him. I was like, how do you not have time for it? That was my like, how do you not have time for progress?
Well, he's just a part human being. He doesn't want to be a complete human being.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And listen, if you're happy being a part human being, by all means do so. But quit the hate, though.
Exactly. I mean, I want to be the complete human being. I want to be able to squat, deadlift, press, snatch, clean, do all, jerk. And I don't mean the sexual stuff.
No.
No, I've quit that stuff.
Sex? You quit sex?
I've quit everything.
Yo, you know that there's people that are anti-sex too? There's people that are anti-everything. Huh?
You cut your penis off?
No, they just don't have sex. I think they're asexuals.
Asexual, yeah. Some shit like that. I think Zoe Saldana is one of those.
Yeah?
You know, she's mad hot.
Like that's something I don't...
Zoe Saldana?
I'm Googling her right now.
Like I don't understand that stuff because like I'm a human being and we're like very sexual creatures.
Yeah.
Like I think of sex all the time. So what's her name?
Zoe Saldana? I think
Zoe, if you ever come across this podcast...
I think she's from Queens too.
Zoe, if you ever come across this podcast in Queens, please enlighten me. I'm all about learning. I want to understand how do you not feel the urge to have sex at all?
She's an 8, no way.
Yeah,
Her?
I think so. Yeah.
Joe, just so you know, because
I don't know if she's experimenting or something like that, but it was like in GQ or something like that.
Just so everybody knows, Joe's here and he's always here with us when we're working, and he just saw a picture on his mobile device of what's her name, Zoe Saldana.
I think she's.
I'm very bad with these actors and actresses' names.
So from 1 to 10, Joe.
She's fucking hot.
She's
gorgeous.
Zoe, I want to ask you personally, why
She's like
do you not get the urge? And if you do get the urge, what do you do?
I think she's a solid like 9.
Joe says you're a solid 9.
Yeah. 10 being perfect and no one's
I got to see this. I got to see this. Joe, please give me your mobile device. I have taken Joe's mobile device, and I am now going to...
Oh, almost dropped it
there. Zoe, let us know why you're doing this to yourself.
Is it hard? If she does get back, like, is it hard to be?
So what happens when you see a guy that's really
right
attractive
now.
and talks to you?
Like, what if, not even, like, what if she just, like, develops a relationship with someone and gets those urges?
I want to know what happens.
They come out, we're all animals, man. Let's be honest.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no stronger urge that I felt, like, as a human being, like sexual. It's something like it's innate. It's in our DNA. We're just sexual human beings. The people that they say that they don't need it or experience see it as just something that they can live without. That to me is a little crazy.
Crazy to me because I have a strong sex drive, and
I think most humans do. Again, it could be our age. How old is she?
I don't know. She might be in.
She's gotta be in her 30s.
Yeah, in her 30s or so.
Only
Dirty
because
30s.
She's been making movies for a long time.
Yeah, she got a crazy body.
I don't know her exact age.
Nice and fit.
If there's
slender.
anybody else,
She looks like she could play a 25-year-old.
She played Colombiana.
oh, her.
That shit, yeah.
Yo, Christy and I just saw that movie recently.
Man, her body is ridiculous in that
I'm
movie.
gonna tell Christy, she's not gonna believe it.
Yeah, she's like asexual or something.
Asexual, huh?
Good for her.
Yeah. I just want to understand it. Like,
just Zoe Saldana, if you're out there, just be asexual till I meet you. Then, get down and dirty if you want.
All right. Imagine.
Shout out.
Now, just, I think we had a productive conversation today, Danny. I think we talked about a lot of productive things, and
went off on a huge tangent to some into a sexual conversation, which is good. It's good for the mind. Hey, because why try to hide it, man? We're all
part of fitness, man.
Yeah, man. We're all just apes just trying to mate.
We are apes. We're all African hairless apes, which is weird to be an ape without hair. Just so you know.
A nice session with your significant other can take away some of the strength out of your workout the next day.
Yeah. And also when the fitter you are, the better sex you're having. And I saw a huge change in my performance sexually. With
nice. Thanks for sharing that with us.
With stamina. No. I mean,
I'm joking.
Why do you work? Everything we do is to mate. Let's be clear. We're just here to create more life from a biological standpoint.
I'm here to spread the word of Jesus.
Jesus. All right. I just want to sum up a little something, Danny. I just want to say that.
Talk to me.
Sometimes I look back and I say, Juan, JC, Mr. Morales, look how far you've come. Good work. Keep it up. Sometimes I
if you come too far, then it's because you're gripping it too tight.
But sometimes I go to the gymnasium. Sometimes I go to a gymnasium and I can't achieve my plan. Like, it's happened to all of us. And I say, well, this is just a bad day.
Right.
Look forward to tomorrow.
Exactly.
Danny said something the other day, a couple of months ago, that stuck in our circle of friends, that dwelling in the past is a bad investment.
Oh, yeah. Because, you got to invest energy. You got to invest, whatever it is that you're doing. The reason why you're dwelling on the past, at least in my opinion, is because there was some kind of outcome that you weren't happy with at that time. So then you kind of go back there and you try to question yourself as to why that happened. Or you try to place blame,
right,
as opposed to accepting that, hey, these are the circumstances that happened. Accept it and move forward. So that energy that you invest in dwelling on the past is just a bad investment because you get nothing positive out of it.
Right.
Now, there's a difference here. You can go back to the past, like we were mentioning earlier in the recording. You can go back and tap into some of the conversations in the past or whatever, some of the experiences that went on in the past, and learn from them and kind of get some perspective from them. But dwelling on them,
that's a different story.
And questioning as to why the outcome was the way it was, that's how you develop anxiety. That's ultimately
exactly.
But I'm not a psychologist. I'm just going based off assumptions.
Why did I go back? If I go back and I'm looking at a situation, I understand that I'm a human being that makes mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. I make lots of mistakes because I try a lot of new things. So I make a lot of mistakes. But when I make the mistakes, I always ask myself, what did I learn from it?
Right.
So that's as far as my dwelling goes. What did I learn from it? I learned that this and this and this. All right, boom. Next time I'm presented with this situation, I know that I made this mistake in the past. So
it's not,
most likely I'll be able to perform better.
And it's not dwelling; it's just learning from it.
That's
fine. That's like
dwelling is like an obsession.
Right.
Dwelling. If you're obsessive about the past, if you keep replaying the same story over your head hundreds and hundreds of times, you're making a terrible investment.
It's kind of like as an athlete or as a collegiate or a pro athlete, when you go back and look at film at your previous game, or when we record our games in handball,
right.
We go back not to dwell on the loss or dwell on the win that we had at that moment, but it's to look at our mechanics and to learn from whatever mistakes that we made in that particular game, or to highlight some of the positives that occurred in that game.
Right.
So that's the way I see memories in the past, is just to learn from them, sometimes highlight the positives and learn from the negatives, but not dwell on it.
Yeah. And we always have a positive perspective that no matter where we are and what's happened throughout the day, there's still a lot of work to do. We're by no means perfect. At least me, I'm not by any means close to perfection. And so there's a lot of work, and it's not going to do itself. I got to wake up and fuck shit up and make shit happen.
Being perfect is too boring, man. I don't like it. I like imperfections.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautifully said, Daniel, because it's true. And wake up, get the work done, fuck shit up, make shit happen. That's how we maintain our motivation. Hopefully, this has helped you a little bit in putting things in perspective. Sometimes it's really within you. I wholeheartedly believe that the motivation is there. Yeah. Tap into it, and if there's something blocking you, you just identify it and try something new. Try something new. Danny?
Yeah, just a couple of words. Identify the problem, address it, try new stuff, just like what Juan said. And I guess that's the theme of what this podcast has been about. It's just break the mold, break the barrier, improve the quality of your life, and be happy. Ultimately, it doesn't have to be fitness, just be happy.
Yeah, and find inspiration. You know, you and I and Joe, we find inspiration. We like to be inspired. You know, we like to talk to people and help people out, but at the same time, we look up to certain individuals and people that do things in a way that we like, and they inspire us. And there's been times where I have to go look at that 800-pound lift by, like you do that too.
Oh, hell yeah, every day. Ronnie Coleman's 800-pound deadlift and 800-pound squat. And
it motivates me. Or sometimes, you know, I just go through my archives and I look at one of my biggest lifts that I've documented. That motivates me. You know, you got to help yourself. You got to set up yourself to execute and to succeed. Right. So just try new shit.
Try new stuff. Try crack.
No, don't try crack. Don't try crack. I think that sums it up, Danny. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for coming, Danny. We want you to check us out on Instagram, which is BeFit Radio _ Facebook.
Yeah, so don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's BeFit Radio, one word. Facebook, look us up on Facebook. It's BeFit Radio, one word. Twitter, it's BeFit Radio, one word. Instagram, it's BeFit Radio _
If you don't know what _ means, it's the little line at the floor at the bottom.
If you don't know what it means, there's something called Google, and Google it.
Yeah, or Bing it if you want to give Google some competition. Also, check us out on our website, www.befitradio.com. And there you can download our podcasts. You can watch all our stuff, listen to our music, see our pictures.
We're going to have some blogs up too.
Yeah, we're going to have some blogs, and it's going to be interesting, an interesting place. And some news also, some fitness news and developments. And if you're keen on iTunes and Stitcher, you can find our show on iTunes and our show on Stitcher. All the credentials will be in our website and our social platforms.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.